Craig, season 7 this Sunday for the Lions kicks off. How are you feeling right now?
There's always excitement around round one, no doubt about that. It's come on a bit quicker, and we're nestled in amongst the boys' fixture at the moment, which is a great opportunity for us to grab the general supporter at the moment who's having a week off footy. If they're following their AFL team and there's a curious interest in what the AFLW is doing, then hopefully we get a lot of those people along to watch us, not only here but right across the country.
Yeah, you go.
For so much of your early years you were, underestimated by the rest of the country, but the last year and certainly into this year you're fancied. How do you think you coped with that last year and what might you learn from that to apply this year, do you think?
I think we cope with it really well. Apart from the disaster, which was round one, which was not really attributed to that. It was more around some significant injuries and the COVID that went through the group at that point. But from that point onwards, we coped really, really well. And let's face it, once you all get out there and start playing, you get 2 or 3 rounds in and people have won and people have lost. It's very much a brand new year, and your reputation from the year before counts for not much really, once people have worked out what you're doing well and what you're not doing well. So that sort of applies to every footy season, I think.
Is that something you have to talk with the group about, or do the girls sort of just find their own feet, or do you need to say, hey, don't worry about what they're all saying and all writing, start sort of playing safe?
Until we notice any behaviours that, invite us to intervene, it hasn't been a problem for us. Now, I won't say that's going to be the case all the time, but it's a bit of a privilege to be considered, that type of team. So your training ethics and your behaviours and your standards everywhere have got to be at a really high level to maintain all of that. So fortunately, we've got great leaders in our group. We've got a very young group, but they're actually pretty experienced in AFLW terms. So yeah, the only proof I have, which I sort of say all the time, is how are they training, what are their 2K times like, what have our 2 practice games been like. So that's the only bit of proof I have at this point in time, and I've sort of got no real reason to question it at the moment.
They've been good, haven't they, those times?
Yeah, they've trained well, which is good, and nice to play 2 practice games against opposition as well. One of them was a travel down to St Kilda a couple of weeks ago, so it was good to experience that and get your match day routine sorted. We're pleased with the build-up in terms of match practice and getting ready for this round.
You've spoken about how Batesy's already gone to another level and she's shaved all her 2K times, but what about the other All-Australians, the others that were sort of elevated? Have you seen a difference in them as well?
They all want to achieve. So you're talking about Orla and Nat Grider. So Nat's just a competitive, hard trainer, 24/7. So we're in a nice position now where you've got to almost rein them in rather than, force them to go a bit harder. So that's a nice ethic to have across your group. Orla's coming back from shoulder surgery she had in April. She's made great progress. Medical staff and fitness staff have been really, really good with her. She's an outside chance to be ready this week. So, those 2 epitomise the work ethic of the group. There was our conditioner put a stat out the other day that Orla's actually done 99% of the running across the pre-season, which is a fair effort when you've sort of nursed your shoulder for the first month or 2. So in terms of her leg preparation and so forth, she's actually ready to get out there and run and not run out of steam, hopefully, if we select her.
Captain Bree was just saying that she feels more comfortable, more settled heading into her second season as the leader. What have you noticed from her this pre-season heading into a second season as the captain of the side?
Yeah, I think first year in, you're always sort of not looking over your shoulder at the previous person who held the role, but you're sort of finding your place and what works for you and how do the group respond to you. So she's had to sort of adapt to that over, the last 12 months, 15 months or whatever it's been. And I think naturally she now has worked out, okay, I can demand this of that person, or I can, be consoling to that. She's worked out exactly, how it all fits for her. But the big thing I've noticed is that's now not front of mind for her anymore. She's now concentrating on herself and her own performance as a player. So the uplift I've seen is that she's playing fantastically well, and the captaincy and leadership bit is now becoming a little bit second nature to her, that she doesn't have to devote too much extra attention to it. So that's been really, great growth for her in a short space of time.
Did you see at times she was bogged down a little bit by it from time to time?
Yeah, I did, and that's around the fact that she just cares so much for people. So, she'll be a little bit like us as coaches. She'll be going to bed every night thinking, did I do that right, or do this right, or get to that person, So at some point you've got to sort of wipe that at the end of the day and just think, okay, I've done my best, and then move on. And again, you get better at it as you get more experience with it. There's no other way, really.
Craig, we just asked Brie about Ava Seton.
Yeah.
So pretty incredible to be signed to an AFLW club the week of the start of the season.
Yeah.
Tell us how that came about.
Well, that came about through someone else's misfortune in the first place. So Bella Smith, unfortunately, did her knee a month ago. So that's really unfortunate for a player like that who was showing such great improvement. And then Ava was the one that was probably overlooked in the draft, mainly because she's similar to a lot of other players that got drafted out of Queensland at that time. But the draft was at the end of June. Our quaffle season ran through July and then early August with the finals. And sometimes when we look at those games, it's they play finals in the quaff and you think, okay, that's about as intense or close to as intense as it gets in an AFLW game. If you can stand up in those and perform well, it's probably not a bad sign that you'll cope with AFLW. And Ava was definitely like that. And the position she plays, inside mid, and she'll win her own ball at ground level, but she'll duck off after the opposition and put plenty of pressure on. So that type of player generally is pretty consistent. That's just the way they go and the way they play. You don't have the big peaks and troughs. You just have a pretty consistent effort. So we like that. That's the type of player we want in our group. And long term, she's got a few good people in front of her for that role, but long term we think she'll be a great cultural fit for the group, but eventually fit in at some point down the track.
And your Lions women have a few opportunities to play here at the Gabba.
Yeah.
What's your message to fans to get them behind here and get to the Gabba?
Oh, well, if it's a day like today, which we hope Sunday will be, but, get down here because, that week off between the boys' finals is always that limbo week where, what am I going to do with my time? So if you haven't got junior finals on or community footy on, definitely get down here and support us, because we hope that the casual Lions supporter, this is your opportunity to have enough interest in us to come down and watch us play and hopefully come back for more. So this is a great opportunity this weekend to grab some of those Lions supporters that haven't necessarily been to our games in the past.